Hi there, this is Rabbi Dov Fisher, Young Israel of Orange County, and I hope you will subscribe to my channel and give us a like and pass along the link. I'm here tonight telling you that I'm exasperated with Netanyahu, with Israel's inability to just win when they can win. Here in the United States, when Donald Trump runs for office every 4 years, he says in his speeches to his supporters, "We're going to win. If you elect me, we're going to win so much you won't know what to do with yourself. You'll start coming to me and saying, 'Mr. President, we're winning too much. I can't keep up with all this winning. Please, we have to lose something because we just can't stop winning.'" And it gets a smile, and it got him elected twice, maybe even 3 times. I'll leave that for you to decide. Israel, they don't want to win. I've never seen anything like it. What sport? Just a sport. Who doesn't want to win? It's like you're playing baseball and you're leading 12-3 in the fifth inning, and you realize we're going to win. So let's forfeit the game right now before it's over, or prevent it from going 5 innings or 4.5 innings. Or football. We're leading 19-7, and there's only 3 minutes left. What can we do? Let's just walk off the field. Or just let's start handing the ball over to our rushers and tell them rush in the opposite direction. Or in hockey, shoot on our own goal. But don't win. No matter how well we're doing, we shouldn't win. That's Israel's problem. I can't figure it out. I can't figure out if this is Netanyahu. I don't know what he went through as a child. I don't know. I can't understand it. I can't, and I'm not the only one. If I were the only one, I would keep it to myself. And everywhere I go, I do public speaking. That's the first question they ask me. Why don't they win? They're winning. Why don't they win? Why did they put into effect everything they had, strafing Gaza with their best weapons, aircraft fighters, their best intelligence, being so careful, legitimately so, to avoid unnecessarily hurting civilians? I'm not using the term innocent civilians because I'm beginning to wonder, after I've seen these last two prisoner or hostage releases, I don't know if there are any innocent civilians in Gaza. But Israel does its best to avoid hurting civilians. I mean, if Hamas are hiding in a hospital, you got to go into the hospital. If they're hiding their weapons and their terrorists inside mosques and libraries and schools, you got to go. And if they build tunnels underneath and they use those tunnels as bases for attacks and terrorism and shooting RPGs, and so you got to knock out the tunnels. And if they build a tunnel under a hospital, so you got to knock out the hospital. And if they build a tunnel outside underneath a school or whatever it might be, you got to knock out the school. You could do your best to say, let's clear out the school, get all the kids out, let's get all the patients out of the hospital, and then let's blow the place up, because you've got to do what you got to do. And Israel has gone to incredible efforts. In the outset of the war, after Simchat Torah, the October 7th catastrophe, Israel initially had to go into Gaza and really do stuff. And then as the tide quickly became clearly that Israel can handle it and can go into these so-called refugee camps, which itself is a nonsense. How can they be refugees in their own land? They say they are indigenous to Gaza. So if they're indigenous to Gaza and they're living in Gaza, how are they refugees? How can you have a refugee camp in your own land? You come from Brooklyn, New York. You're living in Brooklyn, New York. You were born in Brooklyn, New York. Your parents are from Brooklyn, New York. And you're asking federal funds. I'm a refugee. What the hell is that about? Back to this. So Israel starts doing what they have to do and lost very, very few soldiers. That's our boys, our brothers, our sons, our uncles, our fathers. Lost very few boys. And then Netanyahu and Sava, the IDF, Israel Defense Forces, started fighting I don't understand it. Suddenly they stopped dropping bombs and they started being even more careful. and suddenly boys were being killed because instead of knocking out, let's say, a residential building chock full of terrorists standing at windows ready to snipe, as snipers do, in the beginning, Israel bombed those locations, and the boys were safe. And then Israel stopped bombing the locations, and the boys were on the firing line. Even so, Israel did great. And they went they went down to Gaza City. Everyone said they're never going to make it in Gaza City. The place is chock full of terrorists and snipers, and they're going to get wiped out. And Hamas said, come on, come, waiting for you. And Israel won in Gaza City, won in Khan Yunis, famous thing down in Rafah or Rafiah, where that idiot Kamala Harris said, we've looked at the maps, and it is impossible for Israel to go in without killing zillions of people. And sure enough, Netanyahu said correctly, and to his credit, we will go into Rafiah, and we will wipe out the brigades, the Hamas brigades, kill the bad guys, and we're not going to hurt the good guys. Well, not good guys, but we're not going to hurt the civilians. And indeed, Israel did that. That's where they found Yahya Sinwar, and they killed him. All the Hamas people, they knew they had Kamala Harris and Biden, and they knew, let's hide in Rafiah, because Biden and Harris say can't go. And Netanyahu did it. And so Israel did what Israel did, and so close to winning the war. So close to winning the war. Do you know how many wars there have been coming out of Gaza from Hamas? It started in 2006. Ariel Sharon, right before he had a stroke and then another stroke, goodbye Ariel Sharon, he did the hit not coup, the disengagement, and unilaterally took Israel out of Gaza, leaving all of Gaza to the Arabs. You want Arabs, you want Gaza, it's all yours. You have this beautiful Mediterranean coastline, enjoy yourselves, we're finished. And what did the people of Gaza, the innocent civilians, do? They elected Hamas to be their political governance and their sovereigns. And then with Hamas in power, first Hamas made war in 2006, and then it was like 2008, 2012, every 4 or 5 years. And each time they kill Jews, then Israel comes back and turns the tide and brings everything under control and is just about to have victory. And then Netanyahu says, oh no, we're going to win. We're going to win. Stop, quick. And ceasefire. So now you have a ceasefire, you don't have a win, and you wait a few years while Qatar sends in billions and everybody, Europe is sending in money, and they're sending in steel and concrete and cement and presumably to build new buildings and rebuild Gaza from the destruction of the last war. No, that's not what goes on. Hamas uses the cement and the concrete and the steel and the iron, and they use it to build tunnels underground and to build weapons and new rocket-propelled grenades and all kinds of bombs and everything you've got, mines and you name it, okay? And then there's another war, and they kill some people. They violate the ceasefire. There was a ceasefire. Israel has to come back and has to destroy them and just about ready to win. And there's Netanyahu, stop, we're about to win. Stop, and let's sign a ceasefire instead. There's like practically nobody alive to sign the ceasefire on the other side. But it's okay, we can wait. We'll get ourselves a ceasefire. So the war doesn't come to an end. There's another war. There have been 5 wars that Hamas has started violating the previous ceasefire, each time murdering Jews, successfully rebounding. Israel bombs the hell out of them because they have to stop the attack. In comes Qatar with their millions and zillions. In comes Europe. In comes more iron and steel and launchers and concrete and cement. More tunnels, more strategies learned from each previous ceasefire violation, because Hamas, like everyone else, you learn from mistakes. And each time it's been a mistake to start war with Israel, and they learned from it. And they got better at it the next time and the next time, so that by October 7, 2023, Simchat Torah, they actually figured out how to get through the highly sophisticated, billion-dollar, high-tech, bells and whistles defense wall. And they were able to get through, and then they came on the paragliders that Black Lives Matter cheered, and they murdered 1,200 Jews, and truly innocent civilians. People who mostly are leftists, by the way. We don't know that. Most people aren't aware that the vast majority of those murdered by Hamas were Israeli leftists who want to give up the land, portions of the land. And they were living in Gaza, close to Gaza, the border, so that they could be near Gaza and they could provide humanitarian assistance to Gaza all the time and be friends with Gaza. We're going to teach the Gazans how wonderful we left-wing Israelis are, and Shalom Achshav, we're going to have peace now, and we're really big on human rights, and if you need anything from us, just let us know. And you don't have enough money, we'll hire you. How can we hire you? Would you like to help us in the house? We'll have you as daycare, and we'll have you as all kinds of people assisting us, and we'll pay you way more than you'd make from people in Gaza. And so these were leftists. And the ones who were murdered, like, for example, that famous Nova Festival, it was on Simchat Torah, a Torah holiday, biblical holiday, when it was forbidden to have such a festival. I'm not saying God forbid. I'm not saying God forbid that anyone deserved tragedy. God forbid. No one deserved what happened. But understand, those who were murdered at the festival, Hamas was murdering the people closest to them psychologically, temperamentally, and politically. They were not Orthodox Jews in the shul, dancing with Sifrei Torah, Torah scrolls on Simchat Torah. They were at that festival. The Orthodox, there was some Orthodox in one kibbutz particularly, but Hamas killed the most left-wing Israelis primarily because they just wanted to murder Jews. Didn't matter what your politics is, Ashkenaz, Sephardi, your ethnicity. Didn't matter whether you're politically right or left. Didn't matter whether you're Haredi or modern Orthodox or religious nationalist or Chiloni, secularist. They went to murder Jews. And again, Israel came back, and you know what happened. Now look at the price for Israel. In order to save herself and survive and take down Hamas, it meant subjecting herself to world opprobrium, being accused of genocide, what a lie. Jews treat Arabs with complete equality. In Israel, Arabs sits on the Israeli Supreme Court. There are Arab judges. A former president of Israel was sentenced to prison for doing wrong, and an Arab judge handed down the sentence, and nobody batted an eye and said, how can an Arab send an Israeli president to jail? That's the way it is in Israel. Arabs have full rights, and they are professors. There are Jewish students whose professors are Arabs. Arab can fail a student out of a career. Arabs are in these schools. Israel has something called Kitzvat Yiladim, where they pay families for each child that they have to encourage populating Israel. Well, you might think that would only go to Jews for having Jewish kids. What are we going to do, pay Arabs for having Arab kids? Yeah, they do that. Arabs get complete rights. There's no genocide. Take a look at the celebrations right now, Hamas in Gaza, as people are being let out and people are being returned. Everybody's having a good time. I've seen photographs. You have also. Whether you're an anti-Semite or you love Jews, you've seen pictures and you've seen movies, what people look like when they're coming out of the Holocaust, the survivors of genocide. You know what survivors of genocide look like. They're emaciated. You've seen it. You've seen it. Their eyes are sunk in their heads. Their teeth are popping out. They look 30 years, 40 years older than they are. You've seen what genocide looks like. Genocide in Africa, in Darfur, Sudan. You've seen what genocide, that's not genocide. You look at, trust your own eyes. Don't believe the lies in the media. Just trust your own eyes. Look at these people. They're having a ball. Amid the war not even over yet, just a ceasefire. Look at them in the streets. They've got a lot of energy for people. That's not how they look when they came out the day after Auschwitz. Or Buchenwald, Treblinka, Babi Yar. What are you talking about when they talked about genocide? But Israel subjected herself to that crap. And all these filthy lies on the college campuses with signs about genocide. Lies about apartheid, even though Arabs and Jews live side by side. You want to find apartheid? Look in an Arab country. No Jews living in Gaza, no Jews living in Jordan, no Jews living in all of those Arab countries, Syria, no Jews living in Libya. You want to find apartheid? You don't see demonstrations about that. But you've got demonstrations, lies, lies, lies. But Israel understood she's going to have to subject herself to that garbage because she's got to fight to survive. So they did it. And they won. And they're winning. So close to winning. So close to Trump talk winning. We're going to win. We're going to win. You'll be winning so much, Mr. President. Sir, you must stop winning so much. We can't take all this winning. Israel, Netanyahu. It's like ceasefire. Who fights wars like this? There's truly something crazy wrong. We'd still be fighting the Civil War if Lincoln and U.S. Grant had not demanded unconditional surrender. That's what it was. The Confederacy wanted to negotiate, and Grant said, no negotiations, unconditional surrender. We're going to win. You want a nice gesture? We'll let you, when Robert E. Lee and his men came to give up at Appomattox, Grant was very gentlemanly and very dignified and said, you can go back home with your swords. We won't make you hand your swords over. You can have the dignity of holding on to your military, your garb, but unconditional surrender. You lose, we win, no more Confederacy. That's how you fight. That's how America always used to fight. World War II, Hitler in the bunker. What did we do? What's the matter, Hitler? Not comfortable in the bunker? Okay, ceasefire. We'll wait 4 or 5 years, and when you're feeling better and you're up from the bunker, we'll start the war again. Like it's some kind of television program that you have 12 or 18 episodes, 20 episodes, you have the summer off, and then we'll have a new season next year. And then next year, you watch 8, 10 miniseries, and then they take a break. And then there's an episode at the first of the new season reminding you where we left off. Where we left off, Hitler was in a bunker, and Germany had no hope. And now we resume 8 months later, and what's happened during the period that we were on vacation, Hitler came out of the bunker, and Germany has now gotten their own atomic bomb. What will happen? Let's see. Same thing with Japan, right? We had an atomic bomb, but no surrender. Looking bad for the Japanese, but stay till next year and wait and see what happens in our new season. And that's how Israel fights. They fight up to winning and then ceasefire. I don't know what's wrong with them. Now, not all the Israelis are crazy. There are Israelis, the media calls them extreme right-wingers. Extreme right-wing, every kind of insult, fascist. There are people on the right, the party, Otzma Party of Ben-Gvir, the National Religious Party, the Religious Zionist Party of Bezalel Smotrich. And they have slightly different approaches to how they're dealing with this thing now, but they're both going crazy. They're absolutely going crazy, as I am, everybody I know in my circles, and that doesn't mean 8 people. It means half the Jews are going absolutely insane. What is wrong with those people who make these decisions and fail to go ahead and win? If you would be watching Israeli television, they would have on the upper left corner of the nightly news, Channel 14, for example, Yachad Ninatseach, meaning together we shall win. Whenever Netanyahu would hold a press conference or deliver a speech to the nation, Ezrachei Yisrael, citizens of Israel, he would always end it. You know how Trump ends his speeches? Together we will be safe again. Together we will be rich again. Together we will be healthy again. Together we will be, and together we will make America great again. And then whenever Netanyahu finishes a speech, it becomes, together we will this, Yachad Ninatseach, and together we will win. And then we don't. Then he gives up. Israel has lost this war. Understand that Israel has lost. It's not just I who am saying this. Look at the reactions in Hamas Gaza. as the 3 Israelis or 4 Israelis hostages are taken to be handed over after being abused publicly by the riotous crowds, the chaos, and as the murderers are released from Israel and sent back, and look how they're cheerfully gathered, and all the Hamas people with their green headbands and their rifles, do they look like they lost? I mean, you have the Israeli commentators saying, oh, they're looking like they lost, but they're looking like they won, but they really lost. They didn't lose. I know what losing looks like. You know what losing looks like. They won, and they know they won. Israel was reporting that there had been 30,000 Hamas terrorists at the start of the mess, and that Israel had killed 17,000, leaving 13,000. But in the meantime, Hamas recruited another 10,000. So they're back where they started from numerically, and they seem to have rifles, and they still have masks and bandanas, and the streets are still full of people cheering them. Does that look like losing to you? At the end of World War II, were the Germans on VE Day, as America and the Allies won in Europe, were Germans there cheering and we won, we won. Germans were broken. The Japanese, after Hiroshima, Nagasaki, VJ Day, were they cheering and we won, we won? They were destroyed. And thank God we had wise American leaders who made it as part of the deal, unconditional surrender and re-education. Change the education system so that the children are taught to be friends of the Allies. Stop teaching them to hate us. And generations grew up in Germany and Japan, they stopped hating us. Whereas with the Arabs, after every battle, they reinforced their textbooks to hate the Jews even more. And we won. I grew up in school. I went to school before they spent 90% of the school day teaching me to be transgender. So in my day, they taught math, real math, not where every answer is right. They taught real math. They taught real history, not this nonsensical 1619 history. And they taught all kinds of like real subjects. And when they taught us about history, they taught us we won the Civil War, we won the World War II, we won World War I, and the other guys lost. Unconditional surrender. And the world became better for it. The world's not perfect, never will be, but it got better. Israel, I can't understand it. I'm exasperated. I'm a columnist for the American Spectator, and I'm a senior editor at the Spectator, and I'm a columnist at the Israel National News, Arad Sheva. I haven't written for the last 3 weeks. Where are my columns? My readers have been writing me. Where are you? I can't write. I'm exasperated. I'm disgusted. I'm so disgusted. At least when I post to YouTube, I really get to let it out. I'm disgusted. How could they agree? And in return for one Jew, you give up 100, 1,000 bloodthirsty thug murderers who've been convicted? What's the point of putting these people on trial? You get an Arab Hamas terrorist or Fatah or Islamic Jihad, goes and murders Jews, and then you put them on trial. Bring in evidence, witnesses. Do you know how much money it costs to put a guy on trial? Okay, they want to show virtue signaling. Look how we in Israel are so humane, and we follow all the good civil rights of Western society. And then the guy gets convicted. And since he killed 33 people, he gets 33 life sentences because they're so virtuous in Israel. No murderer gets a death penalty. Very good. Not even America, Texas, they kill people who deserve to be killed. Israel, no, we're too virtuous for that. We just 33 convictions. After all, these terrorists are men of conviction. So we'll just 31, let's have another trial. 32, let's have another trial. 33. And now they give 110 of them up in return for 3 people. It is exasperating. People, I'm going to put it this way as I wind down now. The big thing in America, for example, Europe, and now, unfortunately, Australia, where anti-Semitism is rife. So it's like a thing to say, I'm not anti-Semitic, I'm anti-Israel. I'm anti-Zionist, but I'm not anti-Semitic. That's like baloney, because Israel is part of being Jewish, and Jewish is part of being Israel. They're not separable. You'll find some Jews who say it's separable. Go ahead and have them open a Talmud, a Gemara, and study Talmud with you. They don't know the first thing about Judaism. They wouldn't know Judaism if it hit them in the face. They don't know the difference between an olive and a pickle. So Jews who know what Judaism is know that Israel, Zionism, is part of Judaism. To say I'm anti-Zionist, but I'm not anti-Semitic, that's like saying I'm anti-kosher food, but I'm not anti-Semitic. I believe people should be able to eat any food they like except for kosher certified food. Why? Because I'm against it, but I'm not anti-Semitic. No. If you're against kosher food, you are anti-Semitic, because that's what we are. Even Jews who don't eat kosher food know damn well that's part of being Jewish. Or I'm anti-celebrating Saturday as a Sabbath. You can celebrate any other day in the week. The Muslim Friday, the Christian Sunday, some other religion Thursday. The only day in the week we won't let you worship your Sabbath is on Saturday. But I'm not anti-Semitic. Well, yes, you are. Because that's part of being Jewish, even for those who don't observe the Sabbath. Zionism is part of anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. To be Jewish, we've been worshiping the Torah with its centrality of Eretz Israel, the land of Israel, forever. More than 3,000 years. After we eat meals, after every meal, we thank God for the meal and for the land of Israel. We worship 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, night, and Sabbath a 4th time, on Yom Kippur a 5th time. And the prayers include prayers thanking God for the land of Israel. So then there are those who say, okay, let me try it this way. I'm not anti-Zionist. I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm anti-Netanyahu. And that's why I want that country to come down, because I'm anti-Netanyahu. Well, that's a lot of crap also, because I have become more anti-Netanyahu than anyone. I'm anti-Netanyahu, the man who cannot win. I'm sick of it. I'm exasperated. But I love the guy. He has been a patriot serving his country for 12 years. He doesn't know how to win. He doesn't know how to close the deal. If you've ever been in sales, some people just don't know how to close the deal. They really can talk a great talk, show you the product and convince you that you need it. And when you have one last question and you have your pen ready to sign, they just don't know how to close it. He doesn't know how to close the deal. But he's a patriot. To be anti-Netanyahu, to be I love Israel, and I'm anti-Netanyahu, but I'm Zionist. So here's Israel, and Israel's fighting for her life, and she is led by people who don't know how to win. I wish to God that God will bless the land of Israel and the people of Israel finally to elect leadership that understands that it's okay sometimes to win, to demand unconditional surrender, and not to stop until the other side takes off their green bandana and waves a white flag. If you agree with me, please subscribe to this channel, send the link, and give us a like. And if you don't agree, you're entitled to your opinion. That's kind of the way that we like to think. Bye-bye.